I am so proud of everybody for being here today. I mean, I know that this is kind of a once-a-year event that plays out over the summer, but all of us are engaging in health and fitness throughout the year, and it's events like this that help us stay focused. I know for my part, I used to be 250 pounds, and I have to constantly be putting goals in front of me and milestones in front of me to stay at a quote-unquote normal weight. And this is one of those goals that I strive for throughout the year. So congratulations to all of you for being here and for taking the message to the street as well. Let's see. So my name is Larry Schreiber. Where do I point this anyway? Okay, so the first question is, do you lead a healthy lifestyle? I've done this among a number of different audiences. I'm thinking the results here may be a little bit different than they are amongst other groups that I've done this in front of. So I'm going to start out by having everybody stand up. And we're going to do not an exercise per se, but it will be an exercise. So continue standing if you're a non-smoker. Okay, see, you can't even smoke in bars anymore, so why bother, right? Okay, and continue standing if you have a BMI that's less than 25. Okay, usually we lose about half of them by now. And continue standing. This is where we tend to lose a lot of them. You need to be honest on this one. If you eat 5 fruits and vegetables a day, 7 days a week. There you go. And this one should be a layup. If you're standing now, I'd be surprised if anybody sits down for the next one. For the next one, it's do you exercise? And that would be defined as 5 days a week, at least 30 minutes of cardiovascular or lifting type exercise. So remain standing if you quote unquote exercise. Okay, wow, okay, well everybody can sit down now. And this is kind of the reality. I mean, 76% of us are non-smokers, 40% have a healthy weight between 18 and 25 for BMI, 23% eat 5 fruits and vegetables a day, 22% exercise 30 minutes 5 times or more per week. But the big challenge we have is that you need to do all of these things to really maximize your health, and only 3% of us do all 4 of those things. And as we as adults face out to not just our communities, but to our kids, it's imperative that we send them, that we give them the right messages around health and wellness. We're in the middle of a crisis right now across the United States. And it's really because we're not eating the right things, we're not moving enough, and we're not taking care of our own health. I'm actually at an NGA, National Governors Association, conference coming up. It's the weekend of October 4th, and there's going to be people represented there from the Institute of Medicine, WIO is going to be there, Wisconsin Health Information Organization, the Institute for Clinical Systems, the Brookings Institute will be there, NCQA will be represented, and a person who many of you know, John Turinas from Ceregraph, who's been speaking out pretty vocally around the need for cultural change and behavioral change and payer-provider relation change in order to drive to a better healthcare status for our population. And it's going to be interesting because they want to talk about the infrastructure around healthcare and how can we take better care of people. And it's going to be very entertaining when John Turinas gets up in front of this group and starts telling them that, you can have all the infrastructure you want, but all you're doing is treating the symptoms. We need to change people's behaviors. And that's really what it's all about. And until we do that, we're going to continue on a track where our healthcare expenditures are rising year after year. I mean, if you look at just our kids, it doesn't matter if you're a preschooler, an adolescent, or a teen, in the last 30 years, the rate of childhood obesity has tripled. And that's not even the last 30 years. That's just taking us into, what year is that? 2008. It's gotten worse since 2008. And as you look at our kids, there's a reason why they're becoming more obese. It's because the adults aren't teaching them the right types of behaviors and the right types of values to stay healthy. In 1985, this was the prevalence rate of obesity among adults in the U.S. by state. And obesity, in this case, they're basically saying that you had a BMI 30 or higher is considered obese. Overweight's between 25 and 30. This is 30 and higher. So as you look at this, across the U.S., hang on a second here, because I can't see that from here with my glasses on. In 1990, 10 states had a prevalence rate, 1985, 10 states had a prevalence rate of obesity less than 10%. And from here, let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to click the slide. It's going to take you through about a 20-second morphing of the map, bringing you through year by year into 2009, and then we'll talk about 2010 as well. So it kind of spreads like a pandemic across the United States, and literally since 1985, it's gotten to a state where, wait for it, Okay, so in 2010, we don't have a single state that has a prevalence rate of obesity less than 20%. Okay, so as you look at it, the snapshots, 1990, in 1990, 10 states had a prevalence rate less than 10%. No state was greater than 15%. In 2000, no state had a prevalence rate less than 10%. Only one state, Colorado, had a prevalence rate less than 15%, and 26 states were between 15 and 19%, and no state was over 25%. By the time you hit 2010, no state is under 20%. 14 are between 10 and 24%. 35 states have a prevalence rate higher than 25%, and 12 states, Alabama, Arkansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, West Virginia, South Carolina, Michigan, and Texas have a prevalence rate greater than 30% of obesity. And that's not overweight. This is true obesity. So my message today is pretty simple. The state of population health in the U.S. is directly impacted by behavior. Some's outside of our control. About 20% is environmental. It's not what we do to ourselves, but it's air pollution, it's lead in paint in some older homes, that type of thing. 20% is generic, so you can blame your parents for that. 10% is the medical care that we're given that actually hurts us and doesn't help us, so medical mistakes and so forth. But half of what we incur in the way of healthcare costs is because of lifestyle behaviors. It's self-inflicted, it's what we do to ourselves. So 78% don't exercise regularly, 77% make the wrong dietary choices, 24% still smoke, 68% of us are overweight or obese, so that would be higher than 25 BMI, and 28% of us, not only don't we exercise, we're categorized as inactive. Basically, we barely move. We're sitting on couches, we're in front of TVs, video games, going from our house to our car to our work chair and then home again, and we're considered quote-unquote inactive. So my message today for all of you is, how do we take what happens in this room and expand it out to the community? As executives in this community and as leaders in this community, we're all uniquely positioned to engage the community in change, whether it's through our philanthropic gifts that we give through foundations, or whether it's through the volunteerism that we do in the community, that we can focus on education around the importance of activity and healthy choices in our lives. Whether it's including your employees' families and really getting beyond just your employees with your wellness programs, but getting into the family setting as well to help them understand the importance of healthy choices. Whether it's organizations like Anthem or any one of the payers in this market who are providing leading, cutting-edge cost containment tools as well as wellness tools, and making sure your employees and their families know about those, engaged in them. But most importantly, just beyond the work environment, encouraging behavioral change among your own family members, in your communities, in your neighborhood with friends, and your extended family. It is critically important to the community, and I think as we all sit here today, we figured it out. The question is, how do we spread that message beyond this room? So thank you very much for your time. Congratulations for being here, and we'll get on with the program.